Hello there, I'm Guildmaster Dan, and this is obviously a vlog. So I wanted to get you guys an episode this week, but my preparations for AnCon have taken up more time than I had hoped. Admittedly, I have to produce an entire cast of heroes and villains for a Mutants and Masterminds game, and anyone who has had to make characters in Mutants Masterminds or other point buy systems like Heroes or Mechton, you understand how long that can take, even when you're in the groove of it. And I'm adding on top of that character relationships and whatnot to make it easier for role play too. So it's just taking a long amount of time. But that being said, it is a lot of fun. I mean, I'm making the characters and such for the Sonic the Hedgehog based game, the one based on Archie comics, and I'm thinking like afterwards I'll have to post these on the Atomic Think Tank because I haven't seen a lot of write-ups. There's not a lot of write-ups for the Archie comic heroes, so yeah, well. But anyway, as I've said many times, I'm never going to leave you guys without anything on Sunday. So, obviously I'm doing a vlog, but I decided I wanted to do a little bit more for this vlog, because I had really hoped to get you an episode. So, I'm going to give you guys a video response. That's something I don't get to do all that often, because I have not been assimilated into the Google Play, and from rumors I hear I might not ever have to, but I haven't been assimilated yet, and as such, I haven't been able to, communicate with you guys on the level that I think you deserve. So, at least this week, I'm going to do what I can, and I'm going to do a video response to one of your videos on your channel. In particular, Tim Harper, a longtime supporter of my channel. Thanks, Tim. I appreciate your comments every time I see them. I took a watch of his video on changing the culture of play in a gaming group, and I thought I'd share with you guys my thoughts on that. Now, what Tim was talking about with the culture of play is he meant how, essentially, that group's MO, how they operate. Are they combat heavy and don't really care for role playing, or when they're sitting around the table, are they allowed to have their cell phones out and talk out of character all the time, and they have to clarify when they're in character? Or is it the complete opposite, like in my one D&D group where you either clarify you're talking out of character or what you just said at the table is in character? It's how the game operates and how everything goes about being done. Well, what happens when you join a group as a player and you've experienced other things and this new culture of play is different from what you're used to? How do you go about changing it to something you're more comfortable with? Well, my first response to this was, you don't necessarily have to. I mean, when you're a player, I mean, it's different for a game master, but when you are a player just out shopping for groups, it's a lot like dating, in that, you meet a group, and you get to know it a little bit, and it might not work out. They might do things differently from you, and might not be interested in changing. Well, that's okay, it just means it's not going to work out. It's nice playing with you guys, so I'll catch you later. Move on to another group. It is just like with dating, you meet a person. Oh, you're a nice person. I don't think we have a lot in common, but, I had fun hanging out with you. Thanks. Go on to the next person. It's kind of like dating in that way. I mean, you can't go into a group expecting it to be exactly how you want it to be. There's going to, either you're going to adapt to the way that they do things. You might be able to get them to pick up some things that you do. But you're never going to go into a group and just flat out change it. Not as a player. Really, that sort of thing is more along the lines of a game master. If you go into a group and they're doing, if you go into a combat heavy group, maybe a group of munchkiners like I've talked about in the past, and you like to properly role play. You like to role play in character when you're just walking around. and they keep skipping, and the Game Master keeps skipping your traveling scenes, or keeps skipping your nightly scenes in order to get to the next combat, and just kind of like mulls over that. Like, you don't role play with shopkeepers; you give money and take items. But you coming into that and you want to role play, you like that group, you want to hang out with them. I think maybe like you do great with the combat stuff, just like with the rest of them, but you like role playing. I kind of like Tim said, you don't want to start with talking with the group, but not talking about change. Talk with the group and see, like why things run the way they do. Mention how you've run in groups in the past and what people think about that sort of thing. Is everybody running, combat because they don't care for roleplay because it bores them? Or are they running combat just because no one's ever thought to ask the GM to put in some more roleplay? Both are both are situations that happen often. First, talk to the group and see why things are the way they are. See if things would change if you wanted to introduce them. But, from there, the actual proper course of action in actually changing things is talk to your Game Master. The Game Master is a person who runs the game and really sets the culture of play. They're not 100% the culture of play, but they are 50%. The people around the table are only 50% of the culture of play, and the Game Master, actually, I would actually say 51% is the Game Master. 49% are the rest of the people at the table. Now, yes, it is a gaming group. It is a group of friends that come together in a group, and the social contract that develops out of that is formed as a group. But part of that social contract is the guy at the head of the table is in charge. So he kind of sets the rules for how the game operates inside and out of it. When it comes down to like, hey, I have to miss a session, you don't email everybody. You email the Game Master so he knows. When you want to bring your girlfriend, who isn't interested in gaming but she wants to spend more time with you, you talk to the Game Master. You don't talk to the entire group. Now, got a little off topic. But point being, you talk to your Game Master if you want to actually institute change, because that Game Master is the one that's setting most of that stuff. He's the one who says, at my table, if you say something at the table and you don't clarify that you're out of character, then it was said in character. Well, that's part of the cultural play, and that's something that he sets. You want to talk to your Game Master and be like, hey, I really like, I do like the combat, but I would like to get some more role-playing in. Could you maybe either give me more chances to role-play with NPCs? You don't necessarily have to, put in all the traveling time and all the downtime that the other players don't like, but maybe, give me more of a chance to role-play with the important NPCs instead of just mulling over, how the story progresses. Give me a little bit of a chance to do that. Even if, I have to be the talker of the group or whatever. But, that's what I come to play for, and I would like to see more of that. And that's a perfectly reasonable request to make to a Game Master, by the way. On the Game Master side, that's a perfectly reasonable thing to ask you. If a player comes to you and says, hey, I'm not getting enough of what I come to the game for, could you bring in some more? That's completely reasonable, and absolutely you should bring in some more. Sure, if they're like, sure, with a small clarification being, bring in some more roleplay or some more combat or some more, puzzles or arena combat versus, normal combat. You can bring those things in, so long as it doesn't disrupt everyone else. If you're bringing in that, from the Game Master side, if you're bringing in that role-playing for that player that needs more, so long as you don't, give them a half hour of role-playing, because that is going to discourage everyone. That's going to discourage everyone else. So, you're going to get a moment where, oh, God, he's going again. Point is, if you want to... The point is, I go off on tangents. I'm sorry. Especially when I'm just riffing on a vlog like this. But, point being, if you want to institute a change in that cult, in that culture of play, go to the Game Master and, you know, talk to them. Let them know, like, hey, I'd like to see this, or I'd like the group to try this. Would you think that's okay? And as long as the Game Master agrees, all is fine. If the Game Master is not behind it, if the Game Master does not want to institute a change or doesn't believe that's going to work, no, tough. I mean, you don't then go to the group after that and be like, hey, we should all try this, you know, because then you're just going behind the back of the Game Master, and that is a whole different set of issues. The issue here is, you know, you're dealing with a behavior that everybody has, and you're trying to change their attitudes towards things and institute new behaviors. There's certain ways to do that, primarily through the Game Master. If, you know, the Game Master is against it or the rest of the group is against it, you're probably not going to be able to change that group. And that's fine. It just means, you know, they're not the group for you. And move on to the next fish in the sea. Yeah, I mean, that's pretty much it. I mean, with the culture of... Now, if you're a Game Master and you find yourself with a group that is resistant to how you run your game, number one, that's fine. Again, that might not be the group for you. The thing that a lot of people seem to forget, especially more new school gamers, is that this is just a game. Granted, it's a certain type of game, but it's just a game. It's fine if it doesn't work out. It's fine if you play a game and, you know, it would be like if you sat down and played a board game and you didn't like it, you just don't play the game again. Or if you sat down and played with a group of Magic players and you don't like their attitudes, like maybe they spend the entire time picking on newer players or something, you don't have to hang around with them. They're a bunch of assholes. There's nothing wrong with coming into a group and not liking how it's run and leaving to go find one that you do. It's just a game. There's a lot of people come into it and think, well, these are my these are my friends. These are the people I hang out with. I'm not like I don't enjoy playing this game, but I want to hang out with them. Well, then hang out with those people. You don't have to game with them. Just because you like gaming, they like gaming, doesn't mean you have to game together. You can like completely different types of gaming. Just because you like playing miniatures games and you like playing, you know, card games does not mean you have to try and force those to be together. Now, of course, I'm using an analogy here for different styles of role-playing, but it's just like that. You don't try and force Warhammer to work with Magic the Gathering just because you're both gamers and friends at the same time. It's the same way with role-playing. Just because, you know, your friends are munchkiners, but you like role-playing, doesn't mean you have to play with them. You know, go find another group in your area that enjoys running it like it should be, or, you know, go to cons and play there. I mean, the one guy that I'm running my House of the Bat Mutants and Masterminds game at AnCon, he doesn't get to role-play often. He works too often to play in a weekly game. So he goes to the cons to get his role-playing in. That's perfectly fine. That's a perfectly healthy way for gamers to get in their gaming throughout the year. And just don't feel like you're locked into a group that you have to try and change them. This is what I'm trying to get at here. If you go into a group and things don't run in a way that you're comfortable with or that you don't have fun in, sure, you can go ahead and try and introduce new things and see if they're willing to compromise with you, but don't expect to change them to meet your needs. They shouldn't have to. If they're willing to, sure, great. You know, compromise. Everybody has fun. If not, no big deal. Find another game. There's tons out there. Whether it's at cons or it's online or, you know, it's that group that you didn't even realize was running down the road. Yeah, they're out there. Don't be afraid to move on to other games. And yeah. I don't really have any more thoughts on that. That's kind of my gist. Is don't feel locked into a group. Don't go and just because you want to change doesn't mean they should have to. Yeah. Anyway, I did want to follow up on a couple other things from previous vlogs. You know, I mentioned that I'm going to be running new Manera at AnCon. naturally I've read more of it now that I have a better idea. I've also run a test game. I have a better idea of how it runs and have better thoughts on it that I can actually... I haven't run a lot, so I don't feel I can give a full review, but I can give more of an actual review now. What I've said before, I still feel is mostly true, that it's definitely a fresh setting. I love this setting. The monsters are just so much fun. The monsters are just so much fun. The setting is refreshing, but the system itself has these like new agey things in it that, in my opinion, either don't work or are just not to my style of play. The experience thing, I still have a problem with that. I still think that's stupid. The whole starting out as heroes, I mean, on the one hand, I understand that. I mean, I've run superhero games, and those are games where you never go through any development. You're always a superhero. The main development you maybe go through is an origin story, but otherwise you're just superhero. Boom! These are the adventures you go through. So I get that, and I understand they're going from being hero. They're pretty much going from being skilled adventurers to legends. I get that, and that's fine. But it's like there are some small things. Like, I don't like the fact that the Gamemaster never rolls. I know for a lot of people, a lot of Gamemasters, like that's really refreshing. They never have to make a roll whatsoever. But it's not so much that I don't like that, because it takes away, well, it takes away some control from the Gamemaster that I prefer having. It takes away some of the mystery of the Gamemaster. Sorry, I'm riffing, so I'm articulating at the same time. Something that I didn't like was that when somebody asks me a question, typically, like when I'm running a game, if somebody asks something and asks if something's happened or if something is a certain way, if I would consider it like on a whim, like it doesn't really matter one way or another, but it can color the way the role playing is going to go, I typically do like a high-low roll. I'll ask them high or low, and I'll roll a die. I couldn't do that because there's no mechanic for the Gamemaster roll. Now, granted, I can institute that just fine, but that's just one example of things. There's when a Gamemaster rolls a die, there's a certain amount of mystery to it, where the player's sitting on the edge of their seat and like, is it going to succeed? Is it going to fail? Especially in games where it's like, you would die unless the Gamemaster makes this roll in your favor. And when the players are doing all the rolling, there's no more mystery there. It's just, this is what happens. It's like, this is what happens, and this is the result. Whereas, this is what happens, this is what could happen, what's the result going to be? Oh, thank God, or, like, there's no more mystery or suspense there, and I don't like that, especially in a game that puts so much into making a world about mystery and discovery, to the point where you're supposed to reward experience for discovering new things, for discovering mysteries and such. To take that away, that takes away suspense and takes away mystery, and I don't like that. And I think ultimately what's going to happen, I really like the game, and I intend to run it multiple times in the future. However, I think I'm going to be modding it to make it a little bit more appropriate to at least my game style. Take some of the roles away from the players, put some roles back in the Gamemaster, just small things. It doesn't have to be a lot of them. I liked combat. I did. I liked the way that combat went, where combat was very streamlined. It was very quick. The player always rolls, and it's always the same roll to hit the monster. It was very streamlined, very quick. I liked that. I did. I don't like that whole GM intrusion bullshit. If I tell you you slip and fall, you slip and fall. There's no I'm giving you experience points for it. It happened. I disagree with that. But I did like combat. I love the monsters. I love the setting. I do feel that they've developed their setting a little too much. I mean, these guys came out with a very beautiful book. It's thick. It's a very complete rule book, and they have tons of stuff for the setting. Where they went into detail in, like, all the kingdoms, like right down to example towns and NPCs and people you can expect to meet here, and geopolitical situations and blah 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 blah. The problem for me was, they go a lot into, oh, well, you could do this, or there's all this room for you to be creative as a game master. But then they go and map out the areas. Essentially, they give you a map that's a portion of the planet, right? And they pretty much have it worked out. Steadfast. This is civilization, but it's like a fantasy civilization, so there's lots of dangers and weird stuff between towns because there's lots of space between them. Great. And then if you want to go into the adventure where all the really weird stuff happens, you have the Beyond over here, and then you have the Beyond over there. The only problem is they mapped out the Beyond, and they mapped out Beyond the Beyond. They made places and characters and stuff, and it's like, look, I get it that you had lots of ideas, but when you name a place, when you make civilization and you name a place the Beyond or Beyond the Beyond, those are places. Those are not places that you fill up. Those are places of mystery that you leave for the Gamemaster to fill in whatever they need to. Now, granted, they are less filled in than the Steadfast, the kingdoms, the civilization. They are less filled in than that, but they are still filled in. There's no mystery on the map. It is not an unmapped area like in my opinion it should be. That's easily changed, and I'm probably going to change that and just plop in anything that I like from their setting, which maybe that's what they intended, but I don't know. When they mapped out this, I think they overdeveloped it, is what I'm saying. I think they had a lot of ideas that they wanted to share. I'm like, oh, these are examples of things that you can do, and they got a little carried away, and they overmapped it. I would have liked a little bit more ambiguity on their map in their setting. I don't like the fact that a place called the Beyond is mapped out to within a few square miles. I don't care for that. But still a great game. I highly recommend it for anyone. Anyone who hasn't tried it yet, pick it up. For Gamemasters, it's a beautiful book, beautifully complete book to pick up. It's a fun system for both players and Game Masters. Just could do with a little modding. Other than that, let's see. I had another follow-up for you guys. I hate making these a half hour long because I have a feeling that most of you don't. You watch through like maybe 10 minutes of it. What can I do? Like I said, if you've watched this far, you are a rabble master, sir, and you are a proud rabble master of the guild. What was my other follow-up? My other follow-up was, that wasn't Sonic the Hedgehog stuff. I mentioned that in the last video. It was new Manera. I don't know, I can't think of it right now, so I'm going to go ahead and let it go without, sitting here and mulling over it for like an hour. So, alright, I'm going to be at ANCon next week, so once again, don't be expecting an episode. I'm sorry that I'm, leaving you guys hanging for 2 weeks without an episode, but I got a lot of work to do. But I think I have an idea for the next vlog that might be more fun for you guys, but it might be a little bit more than just a normal vlog, kind of like this one was. But oh, that was gross. Anyway, I'm going to be at ANCon 2014 coming up this coming Thursday through Sunday. If you're in Northeast Ohio and you are going, drop me a line. You'll see me there. I won't be in my signature garb here, but I will be there. If you see me and you like the show, stop over and say hi. Give me some ideas for future episodes. I'd be happy to have them. Otherwise, I will see you guys next week. Though I will be looking a little bit more tired. Have a good week. And check out Tim Harper's channel because he has a lot of good things on there.